So that having come from journalism and digital storytelling, and it's always been experiential. So there was this notion that experiential learning, if you ask an academic, it's all about taking it's field trips. Even a lot of my students even now think that it's all about field trips. Okay, getting to travel to new places and experiencing them. It's a lived experience, having that lived experience in a place. He asked ChatGPT to prepare act the prompt activity to give a persona that is act as an experienced CBSE teacher examiner and create three question papers on chapter 10, 11, say maybe 9, 10, 11 XYZ in physics, chemistry, or whatever you're doing for three types of question paper: one for a fast learner, one for a medium learner, one for a slow learner. And it just, with the blink of eye, it creates a question paper. That's a exact CBSE question paper. So it's always been an immersive, I would rather call it immersive learning. And I think it's time we actually redefined this teacher student interaction. And I have to apologize before we start because I don't come from an academia. Even though I teach in the university, entire my whole career I spent in the industry. So it's always been experiential for me. And then I, only 10 years ago, so after, when I decided to get into teaching, then I was incredibly fortunate to be working for for an organization, Asian College of Journalism, which is very open to actually hands-on training. So I wouldn't even call myself a professor here. I would call myself a trainer. So then I had a stint with the American University. Again, that was again learning by doing, experiential. Then I used to guest lecture, used to travel to Germany and Europe and to teach at Stuttgart Media University again. So that having come from journalism and digital storytelling, and it's always been experiential. And I would rather change this. I don't even like, to be very honest with you, I don't like the word experiential. I would rather call this immersive learning experience. So like I completely 100% I agree with what Arti was telling. This has never been a new thing. No, I've read about people in the cave, or when we were cavemen and women, and after a hard day's work, when we come back. So to children, the parents taught how they hunted the animals by drawing pictures, by just just drawing pictures and just drilling things and just sculpturing things on the and just doing things on the wall, and by experiencing, just making this an experience for them to teach hunting to children, to their own children. And then then in my case, when we got into storytelling, when I got into, because having come to the industry, I don't know what non-experienced learning is, Sri Kumar. I don't know what academic kind of learning is. Actually, I'm going to have to learn this. So then I'm very fortunate to be working for an organization even now where I can apply AI extensively. So I'm going to actually explain this, my what I had to tell you, by way of my personal experiences. Again, that is experience that how I use these tools, particularly AI. So I remember back in 2012 when I got into teaching for the first time. That was 12 years ago. I used to invite people like this. So it was Google Hangout. We used to call it Google Hangout. That was long before COVID. Then I used to get experts from the US, from Germany, from UK, where I still went to school, then Australia, from different parts, say three or four journalists. Then I would rather, we don't talk like that. I would actually encourage these journalists to tell them to actually join this meet for our students in Google Meet. It's got a Google Hangout. We used to call it Google Hangout. Then to take us out to their spaces. If you're in Melbourne, you take us out. If you're in New York, you take us out. If you're in Germany, you take us out. Then from there, you just explain to us how you work from the field, how you report from the field. And that was literally an experience for my students in Chennai to actually traveling with, say, three people from three different parts of the world in a Google Hangout Remember, this was long before COVID. We're talking about 2012, 2013. And taking the students out virtually, of course, and sharing their experience of how they work on a story from outside. When they go out to a pub, when they go out to a marketplace, how do they talk to people? How do they do the interviews? So we used to tell them, like, we were all experienced. We are talking about very experienced journalists from BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, very big people, and but they were so humble, and they were so upfront about this, and the kind of troubles in real time they face, the trouble people refusing to talk to you. So in real time, that was experience, that was quite an experience, that was an eye opener for me. So you can now teach this through, you don't have to. So there was this notion that experiential learning, if you ask an academic, it's all about taking people, it's field trips. Even my, a lot of my students even now think that it's all about field trips. Okay, getting to travel to new places and experiencing the, it's a lived experience, having that lived experience in a place. Again, I was very fortunate with Asian College of Journalism in Chennai, where we had a module, whole module, where we get to take students, 50, 60 students to very remote places in India and live with them literally. We are talking about places like Padi. We are talking about Pabong, very remote places. We are talking about Kalahandi and Kutch in Gujarat, Kalahandi or in Orissa, and we get to actually live with the tribal people and experience their life rather than from sitting in a hotel room and just we call it in journalism, we call it parachuting into their scene. Then okay, yeah, okay, yeah, we know what and just pre-prepared 10 questions, just shoot, tuck, 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 and come back. So rather than that, I was very fortunate to have this experience with my students. So Arti, I completely agree with you. So I would rather call us as not teachers or professors, because I don't think, with the current technology, with the current so much technology available, which part I'll come to that later, how my students are, I'm encouraging my students to use that. I think we should look ourselves as facilitators. We facilitate, we just create an environment. I completely agree with that. That's what I've been doing for the last 12 years. We create an environment where teaching becomes co-creation rather than dumping okay, a 55 slide or 60 slide deck, a PowerPoint deck on the students. So I don't think that's going to work anymore. It doesn't work at least with my students. It doesn't work. They hate this. They don't tell you that they hate it out of fear. They literally, the last thing they need is a PowerPoint presentation. The moment they say PowerPoint, aha, here comes another one. How to sit through this? So rather than that, when teaching become a co-creation, when we facilitate that. So how do you go about this? So that's the practical part. So that's what I'm coming into. So like charity begins from home. For me, so far as I experimented, I always experiment everything with my children first before I take to school. So when my daughter was young, I was experimenting. There was no AI then. Now I've been using the AI. I've been using AI for the last 6 years now. Not long before that, was 4 years before ChatGPT. I was using Jasper. I was using Copy AI and a lot of other tools as part of teaching and learning experiment. Not to write anything or not to create content. So that's where we come in. So now let me give you an example of experience learning, how this is not visiting the field. You can create this environment in the classroom. So how do I do that? So at home, what I do is, say my son is in 10th now. He's preparing for the class 10 pre-board exams. So what he does is, I taught him prompt engineering and then how to actually use ChatGPT and Cloud AI and Gemini. So what he does is, so I told you the rule number one is, the moment you start writing an article or writing an assignment for your teacher, a 400-word essay on the climate crisis or something, then you're gone, because then nobody needs you. Anybody can do that. So then how do I use this then? So what he does is, for his math and other exams, what he does is, he asks ChatGPT to prepare, the prompt engineer to give a persona, that is, act as an experienced CBSE teacher, examiner, and create 3 question papers on chapter 10, 11, say maybe 9, 10, 11, XYZ in physics, chemistry, or whatever you're doing, for 3 types of question paper: one for a fast learner, one for a medium learner, one for a slow learner. And it just, with the blink of eye, it creates a question paper. That's exact CBSE question paper. What does he do then? Then we created a module for him at home. That is, then I think you are in charge now. Okay, then he answers the questions of these three papers. Then he uploads these question papers on ChatGPT. Now, anything you can upload. Then ask ChatGPT to assess it, evaluate it. Not only just give you marks, where am I going wrong? And how can I improve myself? Then categorize me just as a fast learner, or just grade me as a fast learner, medium learner, or as a slow learner. And generally he gets a medium learner thing. Okay, he never got the fast learning thing. So what he does now is, now he knows that, he realizes I'm okay, I'm a medium learner. Now what he does is he completely discard the slow learners question paper. Then he asks ChatGPT to actually make it a little more tougher, 10% tougher, 15% tougher. And he answers that. So there is a measurable, the previous speaker was talking about, in Apollo, he was talking about measurability. So I also believe, I completely I'm with her on that. If something is not measurable, that is not manageable. So now what happens is, so he knows that where he's heading. So 10% tougher, if he's not able to answer, then he gets a grade. And it's become, teaching has become a self. Then now I told him, okay, now don't go by what ChatGPT says always, because it's not a fact checker. And you don't use this to write articles, because that's the last thing. Because a lot of teachers, because I train my professors here, I go around and train newsrooms, Manorama, Mathrubhumi here, Times of India. I train Times of India. I'm just back from Manorama in Kochi, Manorama TV, training these people. And that is a very different. My professors here, a lot of things, hey, I don't want to go there. Because we look at students as, aha, this guy is out to cheat me. And they think that we are all stupid.
That's, we'll just summarize. We'll come back, discuss it in
So
detail.
that
Yeah.
part is, so it's always been an immersive. I would rather call it immersive learning. And I think it's time we actually redefined this teacher student interactions. So it's interactive and immersive. I'm all for it.